Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Welcome to the New World Order Showcase program. Today we're speaking with Harmony Slater. She's one of only 10 certified Ashtanga yoga teachers here in North America, as well as a national board certified health and wellness coach, and has expertise in guiding her clients to release unconscious blocks through emotional mastery and somatic work. As a mentor coach for the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, a certified quantum coach, and furthering her training with the Institute for Coaching Mastery. She is a reformed perfectionist recovering from eating disorders, depression, and anxiety. She had to find a spiritual solution, a path to freedom from the physical pain and mental suffering, and she'd love to help you do the same. Please help me welcome Melanie to the program. Welcome, Harmony. It's so great to have you here. We have a little bit of a relationship. It's gone back a few years. We're doing something else together. So tell us what you do, how you got started, all the things about it.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I'm super happy to be here, and thank you so much for having me, Jill. I guess, how did I get started? I got started so long ago. It's like, where to begin? But basically, I'm focusing mainly right now on helping conscious leaders who are struggling with burnout. I help them design a customized spiritual practice that's unique to them, that helps them restore their energy, to fit into their lifestyle, and also with their personality based on the Enneagram, also based on their Ayurvedic constitution, so that they can confidently step into their next level of aligned service and action and help the people that they are in front of, that they're here to serve and help. So I help them both personally and professionally to really connect not only to the people they're serving, which as a coach, and as helping coaches, we get really stuck in the service mode where we're really showing up for our clients all the time. And we forget that we really need to connect within and to ourselves, to a higher power or a higher self, and design a spiritual practice to help us stay well, right? Help us create more wellness, more balance, and then we can really show up and serve in the way that we want to. But all of this started many, many years ago. About 25 years ago, I really dove into Buddhist meditation, and then that led me to Ashtanga yoga practice. And those two paths took me to China to study meditation at several monasteries there. I was doing a degree in religious studies and Eastern philosophy at the time. So I was studying with the monks in their monasteries, and then went to India and lived in India for several years, practicing and learning and studying Ashtanga yoga. And eventually traveling to over 30 different countries around the world, teaching workshops on yoga, meditation, personal transformation, philosophy, how to connect with yourself more deeply and really live your spirituality in your everyday life. And so how to not just have like a spiritual experience or one transformational experience, but how to bring that into everything that you do so that you can really be a force for change and transformation for others in the world. So that's sort of where it all began, was with my own practice and my own journey, into myself, but also into the Far East and then back home again.
And you just came back from traveling around the world, and
Yeah.
you're only one of 10 people in North America who's
Yeah.
a teacher of this.
Yeah, currently I'm living in Canada. I am Canadian, so I was also born here. But I'm the only certified Ashtanga yoga teacher from the Institute in Mysore, India, in Canada, and about 10 in North America. So between the United States and Canada. So, and as far as female certified teachers, even less than that. There's only about 3 of us. So
I can imagine.
yeah.
I can imagine. So you've just been traveling, doing workshops. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I just got back. I was in York in the UK teaching basically yoga workshop there, where we were looking not just at postures though, but at sort of the deeper aspects of yoga. So how yoga integrates with our lives. So we talked a lot about nonviolent communication and living this ideal of nonviolence and how that really looks in everyday life. Because what's interesting is we have these ideals, or we have these precepts in a way, right? Like nonviolence or non-harming, but we're conditioned in our society to interact in a harmful way, or in a way that incurs violence or puts people on the defensive, which then creates sort of an aggression or an attack, and so learning how to even just change our language around how we're communicating with people can really help us to live this idea of nonviolence or, non-harming in our lives, and also can help us communicate more effectively, of course. So if we're not communicating in a way that's putting people on the defensive or making them feel accused, or, making them feel like they have to defend themselves all the time, then it allows them to open up, to, bring their defenses down, which creates an opening for real communication to happen. So we were talking a lot about that during this particular workshop. And then I was doing a retreat in Turkey, which was a 2-week transformational retreat. It was really wonderful. I had about 10 women who were there with me. And it was just everything. We looked at your Enneagram type and how those unconscious sort of patterns play out in your life. We also did breath work. We did pranayama, or breathing, every day. We did an intensive holotropic breath work session. We did asana and meditation and chanting and all the things. Plus had a lot of fun, got to go on the beach and suntan and relax. Relax and have a vacation as well. Shopping.
Of course, shopping, right?
Yeah.
Do you take people with you on these retreats, or do you go to these retreat places and people meet you there? Is it
Yeah.
Do they come from all over? Where do your clients come from that attend these retreats?
Basically, my clients come from all over. I kind of, with this retreat, it's been an annual retreat that I've been doing since 2017. And so every year I just kind of open up spots and say, I'm having a retreat, it's going to be from this day to this day. If you want to come, get your deposit in, save a spot, either for a single room or a shared room. And it tends to kind of fill up. So it's really nice. This particular retreat center is like a boutique hotel. So we take over the whole hotel, and it's just for the yoga people and the people who are interested in doing this sort of deeper work. So it's really nice. But next year I have a couple of retreats. I have a 2-week retreat in Tenerife, which is part of Spain, but it's close to Morocco. It's the Canary Islands there. And I have a 1-week retreat in Norway. I have my Turkey retreat that will be 1 week next year. And then also a 5-day retreat in Taba, Egypt. So I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be a new place, somewhere I've never been. So, I'm really excited to kind of be focusing a bit more on the retreat aspect, because I love that, it allows people to like immerse, get out of their daily life, drop into some somatic practices like the breath work, the yoga, asana, or the, body movement, as well as go deep into sort of themselves and allow whatever's been kind of suppressed there to start to come up to the surface. So I love that format. So we're doing a few more of them next year.
That sounds really interesting. It's kind of nice to go to retreats because you're so isolated from everything else, and especially when you're traveling there, because then you're just like your own little pod.
Yeah.
And you're all doing the same things, and you're working on kind of the same thread.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nice. I mean, there's like freedom too, to kind of, do your own thing and come and go. But there's also the safety of like having a group or people who are there. If you want to do something with people, you can connect with people there and like have a friend, which is nice. I mean, especially as a single woman, I travel a lot on my own, and it's nice to kind of go to a retreat place and then you meet people and you can do things with those people. You don't have to like necessarily always be on your own. You can, have friendship too while you're there.
And it's different when you're traveling alone, especially overseas, because everywhere you go is slightly different.
Yeah.
People are all people, but everybody has kind of a different slant on things.
Yeah.
I've traveled a lot in my life, and they're so interesting, but it's not a good idea to be just going someplace by yourself.
Yeah, I think it's nice to know people in the place that you're going. I don't know. That's how I like to go. I like to go to places if I know there's someone there, especially if I'm alone. If I'm with my partner, then yeah, okay, we'll go wherever.
Right.
But yeah, when I'm traveling alone, I like to go places where I'm going to meet friends or I know people in the area, because also it's just more fun because people who are in the area or who live in the area know things that are fun to do in the area. So,
right. All the cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. They can be like, this is the best restaurant. This is where you want to go for this.
Yeah. You don't have to try it and experience
the
good and the bad.
Yeah.
You just
get
go
like
for the good.
Coles notes. Exactly. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what makes, I keep wanting to say ashwagandha because I love ashwagandha, but
it's an amazing herb.
It is.
Good
it is. I grew some
system.
1 year.
Really?
In my yard, in my garden.
Yeah, no, it's really good for your immune systems.
Mm-hmm.
So ashwagandha.
Just an adaptogen. It helps your.
That's right. Yeah.
It helps your adrenal glands.
Yeah. Yeah. I should get back on that.
I have a standing order with Amazon.
Oh, good. Like the monthly program.
Yeah. What makes
Ashtanga?
Say it again. Ashtanga yoga different from, say, any other forms of yoga?
Yeah. So basically, any kind of form of yoga today that uses vinyasa. So this is a term that many people know, vinyasa, which is movement and breath together. So flow yoga, power yoga, vinyasa yoga, I don't know, Shakti yoga, like there's all these different types of yoga, but any type of yoga that's really using like a sun salutation as its basis, and you're combining breath and movement together, is like an offshoot or has its roots from Ashtanga yoga. So Ashtanga yoga is the original vinyasa yoga. It's the traditional form. And teachers back in the 70s, 80s, early 90s came and learned Ashtanga yoga from Patabi Joyce, who was my teacher in Mysore, India. And it has a set sequence of postures, but it uses this breath movement system. And then many of these teachers that are very popular today, Sean Korn, Shiva Ray, pretty much anyone that's teaching any kind of vinyasa style of yoga, branched off and created their own sequence of postures, right? So they stopped using the Ashtanga sequence of postures, but they kept the vinyasa aspect of it. And so then they rebranded it and named it something else. And so what makes it, I think, unique and also very powerful is the use of breath with the movement of the body. So with upward movements, you're doing inhales. With downward movements, you're doing exhales. And so you're really toning and rebalancing the nervous system as you're going through the postures. And so it's also very dynamic. So people like it because you're kind of getting a workout while you're doing your yoga. There's a lot of push-ups, And so,
yes, I know.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a little bit more vigorous style of yoga. So it attracts people, I think, typically that are a little bit more maybe, A-type personality that also kind of want to like have a bit of a challenge, a little bit of a workout, or a little bit of a more vigorous style of practice. I mean, it doesn't have to be practiced that way, but that's typically the way that it's taught, especially in the public. The way that I teach is I do teach led classes that have that component to it where we're all doing the same movements together. But I also teach in the original way that it was taught, which is called Mysore style, and it's named after the city Mysuru that the practice comes from. That's where Pattabhi Jois lived and taught. And so in a Mysore style teaching situation or setting, the students come in and they get taught by the teacher one by one. And so everyone comes in and eventually you kind of know what to do. So you practice on your own. So it's like a held space where students are coming in and practicing. And then when they get to a place where they need help, the teacher's there to assist them and help them. Or if they're brand new, they get taught directly from the teacher in a one-on-one situation. So it's kind of like having a private lesson within a public setting. And so it really cultivates independence. So the student takes ownership of the practice and starts to remember it and learn it. And then they can do it by heart and they know they have their practice and it's theirs. It's theirs to keep.
Always the same routine, or is it a group of routines, or is it just one routine?
So it's always, there's a set sequence of postures, but there's a primary series, an intermediate series, an advanced A, and advanced B. There's so there's 4 different sequences, and most people will not pass intermediate series. Like the postures get really hard. So to be a certified teacher, you have to have at least completed advanced A and be sort of working into advanced B, which I was at that time that I got certified. But the asanas themselves, they're quite long. The sequences are quite long, like 52 postures or things like that. So it takes a while to develop them all, and you don't necessarily do them all at once. So you might come in and just do maybe 10 postures and then do sort of some closing postures. And then slowly over time, your practice grows. And so that you're growing your stamina, your flexibility, your strength, all at the same time that you're growing the length of your practice. So you don't just get like slammed with 52 postures all at once.
Because some of us would die.
Yeah. Yeah, that's happened.
That is really interesting.
Yeah. So it's a unique way of teaching yoga. I think it's actually very unique to the Ashtanga method. This style of teaching where students come in, and maybe if you're just a beginner, you're just going to do sun salutations and then go home and come back the next day. And then you're going to do the sun salutations again. And maybe you'll learn a few standing postures, and then you'll go home and come back the next day and you'll repeat. And so you're growing your practice over time as you're remembering it.
Yeah. It sounds a little bit like martial arts.
Yeah.
I think the two are very similar.
Yeah, exactly. Or Tai Chi as well, I think, is taught in a very similar way. Yeah.
My dad does Tai Chi. I think it's done wonders for him over the years.
Yeah. Again, another like breath movement system, right? And so I think it's really good for rebalancing the nervous system and just centering and calming and like connecting with that deeper power within. So yeah, amazing.
He's like 87 now, and
yeah, I'm going to move into Tai Chi next, I think. I'm at the age.
Yeah. I think I need to practice Tai Chi.
Right? Yeah, we should all just start practicing Tai Chi.
Yeah, if we do it now, then we can learn all the things that we need to know so that when we're
Yeah.
really not able to do some of these other things.
Yeah, I'm a Taoist in my heart, so I feel it's very aligned with with my
Yeah.
essence.
So tell us about the things that you offer, and
Mhm.
then
Yeah, so right now I have a few things that I offer online. So I have something that is called an inner circle membership, where basically is some yoga classes. I have one weekly yoga class that you can come to, as well as a monthly conference where we talk about philosophy and all of these things. We have these beautiful conversations. There's also a monthly breathwork class and a monthly business class as well for yoga teachers or, wellness entrepreneurs who want to just talk about business ideas or how to create students or clients, different things like that, how to market themselves. So it's kind of a little combination of all the things that I enjoy doing. And then I have a breathwork course that's called Ancient Breathing 2.0 that I offer twice a year online. And it's an online course that really teaches you how to breathe and reset your nervous system using the ancient practices from this yogic text called the Hatha Pradipika, and how to translate sort of these ancient practices for the modern world. And so then you get direct one-on-one teaching from me, as well as like an entire online course to go through week by week. So it's really, really in-depth program that's talking about not just sort of the ancient teachings, but also the modern science, what people are studying and learning about the breath now today. And that's really a passion of mine, is using pranayama, which is the ancient Sanskrit word for, breathing or breathwork practices. So prana being this energy, this life force, but also our breath. And then ayama, which means extension. So the extension of our life, but also the extension and expansion of our breath. And so using, these ancient practices to help us in modern times, because we need it now more than ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then I also do one-on-one coaching, where I'm helping, conscious leaders or wellness entrepreneurs or yoga teachers, or just, women who are like, I need to reconnect with myself and create, a space and deal with this like chronic fatigue and burnout that I'm dealing with. How do I get my energy back? Because it's always about nervous system, right? And so using these practices like yoga or breath work or meditation to reset our nervous system is absolutely essential when you're dealing with that kind of burnout and fatigue and feeling like you just have no time for yourself or for, anything in your life anymore, and you're overwhelmed with everything. It's like a red flag that it's time to reset the nervous system. And so how to cultivate that little sacred space or that time in your life where you can just, drop in, and it doesn't have to be long. And I think that's where we get a little overwhelmed sometimes, is we think, oh my God, I don't have 2 hours to practice, yoga and meditation and breath work or all the things to do my self-care practice. But you can break it up into little 2-minute chunks. And we all have 2 minutes during the day. We're waiting in a grocery line for 2 minutes. We're sitting at a traffic light for 2 minutes. We're, watching Instagram for 2 minutes, probably longer. So we all have like time in our day where we can integrate little practices, little moments to reset our nervous system. And so I help people do that.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you still give the free breathwork course?
Yes. I have a 2-minute.
I actually took that and I loved it.
Oh, good.
A lot.
Good. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I have, you can download on my website. If you just go to harmonyslater.com, it's right there on my homepage, how to reduce stress in 2 minutes. There's a 2-minute breathwork practice that you can just download. It's an audio guide and you can use that throughout your day. And then I have a course that gives you a great discount on a course. Is like usually a $200 course, and I think you get for $38 or something, which is like a little mini course that's all about 3 essential practices that you can do, 2 breathwork practices and a meditation. It's broken down. You can like chunk them out and download just the meditation or just the breathwork practice, or do them all together. And it's only 15 minutes. So that if you just did that alone every day, it would completely change your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just finding 15 minutes to get centered and focus on just being.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really works. Yeah, it really works. And it's so hard when you're like stuck in the doing mode and stuck in this feeling like you have so much to do and your list keeps growing and you're not getting anything done. And you're like, I don't have time to do it. But you really do. You really have 15 minutes. It will create time for you.
Let me give you an example of what happens when you stop doing that. Even for a short time, your body will get sick, and it will remind you, here, let's make some time for you. You can't move anyway, so you may as well just meditate.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. It does happen. I know it happens even to me too.
I got laid on my back all weekend. It was just the worst. But I know it's just because I had been burning the candle at both ends all week, and I was really stressed out about some stuff. And instead of just taking 15 minutes and getting centered and focused and just letting it be for a little while, just the letting it be, and not thinking about it, and you can get stuff comes to you when you're quiet.
Totally. Yeah, you need to, I mean, that's the kind of the tricky thing is you need to kind of shift down. You need to relax in order to be creative, in order to be productive. You have to enter into that relaxed space. And I think so much of our life is like really stressful. And so it's hard because a lot of the stress comes from like, I need to create. Right. And so it's like, how can I relax so I can create so I don't get stressed out about not being able to create?
It is the conundrum.
Yeah.
But meditation, I think, is the answer to that.
Definitely. The meditation's essential. Yeah. Even just 5 minutes of meditation will do wonders.
And the yoga, the movement, I think, in meditation, from what I've learned about yoga, which is about that much, my fingers are like half an inch apart, if that. It's moving through the postures with intention and being set and breathing properly as you go through each movement and posture. It's not so much about how many you do. It's about enjoying the process of doing each one.
Yeah, and it's really feeling into your body too. And I think that's the thing, when we get really stressed out, we're stuck in our mind and our brain's going, and we're just like thinking, and we're kind of starting to disconnect from our bodies. And so when you do the asanas or the postures, and especially when you combine it with the breath, it moves you really in a very strong, tangible way back into your body. And so now you're having a whole somatic experience. Now you're feeling like more grounded, and you're feeling the sensations in your hands and your fingers and your feet and your hamstrings and your hips and your back, right? And so that alone helps you to release the stress. Right. It's actually like helping you to let go and like move into the body more, which makes you very present, right? When you're feeling your hamstrings, you're not thinking about like all the things you have to do. You're just really like intently thinking like, whoa, wow, that's intense. That's an intense sensation right now. So
some might even call it pain.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't want to scare anybody off.
It's helpful though, right? Because it brings you into the present moment, which helps you to let go of all the pattern that you get stuck in, which is the thinking pattern.
Yeah. And taking control of your thoughts is like
Yeah.
a whole nother exercise out
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
that does
Yeah.
wonders for you. You can just
Yes.
like let it go.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's hard to let it go when your brain's like stuck in that cycle, right?
Mhm.
Where it's like stuck in that, oh my God, I have so much to do. And it's just going through like that same tape. And it's like, how do you push pause, or how do you disrupt that pattern?
Mhm.
And it's like you have to do something very different. And so that's where I think somatic exercises, like yoga, I mean, but even going for a run or a jog or getting outside and changing your scenery, being in nature can be helpful because it helps to like cause that disrupt. And so always for me, I know for myself, when I'm like stuck in front of my computer, just like feeling like thinking of all the things I should be doing and feeling
Right.
like
Your
I
house
don't
is
even
calling to
know
you.
where to start. It's like
I used
almost
to,
more productive to just leave the house and like go outside and do something else and be like, okay, I'm going to come back after I have fresh eyes and fresh mind and fresh
and
body.
sometimes it's better to just do that and get it over with
Yeah.
than sit there and stare at your computer
Yeah. 100%.
and let the
100%.
loops run. When my kids
Yeah.
were little, I heard from someone when it came to like it has to do with discipline, but it was an interesting take on discipline.
Mhm.
I have I have three boys, but two of them are much younger than the older one. So
Yeah.
when the two boys were young, they were very rambunctious. They were boys, and they would get going with each other, and
Yeah.
the fight would start.
Yeah.
So we used to do exercises. And I can't tell you how many times we would be in Walmart and they would be doing push-ups.
That's so smart.
But it breaks the thought patterns and makes them focus on their body. And young boys, their bodies are growing and changing, and they
Yeah.
need to like get some of this energy out. And
Yeah.
it's either going to come out through physical altercations with each other.
Yeah.
It's
Or
just,
push-ups.
or push-ups. And so we went with push-ups.
Yeah, that's so smart. That's so good. I love it. It's
That's
also, I have a young boy too. He's 12 and a half. And it's also kind of my philosophy. It's been my philosophy with him too. It's just like run him till all the energy's out. And then he's just so well behaved.
take jump ropes. You get out of the car, jump the rope, 35
Yeah.
times, 40 times,
And
whatever.
then,
And
yeah.
then we can go in because you
Yeah.
might have gotten some of the excess out.
That's smart. That's really good. I love that. Such a good tip.
It was a great tip. It's not original to me. Somebody told me that when they
Yeah.
were really young. I
Like
was just like, oh,
drop it and
that's
give me 10.
genius. I love it. People would laugh. Old people would laugh at me because I was
Yeah.
old. I was 44 when my last child was born. So,
Wow.
and she's
Yeah.
19 now. So
Wow.
when they were little, I was
Yeah.
still old. So, the old people would
Old
come by and
mom.
they'd be like, yeah, that's the way to do it, Nana.
Yeah. That's so funny. You're like, no, I'm just doing it.
Yeah, we're just doing it.
That's
They'll
good.
be
I love
fine here
it.
in a few minutes.
That's good. Really good. That's great.
So, what's the one thing you want people to take away from this conversation today?
Yeah. I guess the one thing that would be great for people to take away is that it doesn't have to be hard. And I think also this idea of like creating, balance in your life or greater health or healing. To me, it's an inside out job. And so you got to kind of go in and like connect more deeply with yourself in whatever way that looks. And that itself is going to start to balance your nervous system. There's been amazing scientific studies on even just the effects of gratitude and what gratitude can do for not just your mind, but your entire life and also your physical body and your affect and, all the things. And so just cultivating that deeper inner connection, which I like to call a spiritual practice. A gratitude practice is a spiritual practice. I mean, what are you being grateful to or for? I mean, the universe, life, the matrix of consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But it's an inside out job. So you got to go in, you got to create that time and space. Even 2 minutes a day, 2 minutes can do wonders for you. And so it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be overwhelming, but it can be something really simple and meaningful. And it can make a big difference in not just your stress levels, but also your physical health, your mental health, and then also your sense of spiritual connection and spiritual well-being, which is really the root, I think, of both physical and mental health. So, yeah.
Connecting with that energy that is.
Yeah, exactly. That, whether it's, you call it prana, which is the Sanskrit word, or you call it chi, which is, the Chinese word, it's the same, right? There's the life force that is undeniable. And even if you just call it life, right? It's like living, it's breathing, the trees are breathing, we're all connected by this breath, by this life that's moving between us. And so, yeah, cultivating just some sense of awe, some sense of connection, feeling integrated into a greater whole, like realizing you're not alone, you're not in this by yourself, I think is really essential for our physical and mental and emotional well-being. So, yeah.
This is going to be a weird question for you, but it is something that I do practice.
Yeah.
Do you ever lay really still and try to sense where your body ends and the air around you begins?
Yeah,
because
all the time.
The molecules are always exchanging electrons.
Yeah.
So you're not actually as solid as you think you are.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I do that all the time. And even when you think like, the chair you're sitting on, you're actually not really sitting on the chair. You're actually like hovering because the molecules are just creating that energy force that feels like we're sitting on things, right? And so when you really like kind of tap into that space that you're talking about, where you're like really feeling that, it's amazing because you can kind of drop into a very subtle energy realm of yourself. And yeah, it's amazing. That itself is a spiritual practice. It's incredible.
It is. And it's just, it's a 2-minute thing.
Yeah.
You can just sit there for 2 minutes and just feel it.
Yeah.
Or
totally
focus on it.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's an experience. You can experience it for 2 minutes.
Yeah. And it has a healing effect. And that's, I think, the thing is these little shifts in perspective and shifts in what we're focusing on has a really calming, healing effect for us. Another one you might like, because of what you just said, is sometimes like feeling yourself in the room you're in and then expanding your awareness to see if you can feel like the walls, like opening that sort of aperture of consciousness to feel the space around you and all the, the 4 walls. And then you're just like in this vast space, right? This little particle.
It's like light. I envision it as light comes in and then it goes out and then it grows and grows all around you until you're like filling up the whole space that you're in.
Yeah.
Even though you're still in the space here, but you're really in that space there.
Totally.
You can occupy whatever space you want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. It's just like a beautiful, all these little mind experiments, but they're really like experiments in awareness, right? And consciousness. And our consciousness isn't trapped inside of our body. And that's sort of the interesting.
And you can transfer your consciousness through intention to other people. And there's a lot of science behind that.
Yeah.
I've talked about the intention group I was in other podcasts, but I hit my thumb with a pneumatic nail gun. It hit the bone and it hurt so bad that I went to this intention group and they did an intention for me that it would heal and be, fine. And at the end of 20 minutes, it was perfectly fine, as though nothing had happened at all.
Wow.
So it's like a personal experience I've had with the power of people that aren't even in the same room with me, making something happen. And I've seen lots of stuff like that. Through the intention group that I was in happen. It was just
That's amazing, because also it's similar to, they've done studies as well about the power of prayer and like people praying for a specific thing or a specific person, and just like all of that energy and all of that intention, right? It's the
It's the
same kind
intention
of,
that
yeah,
makes a difference. And you know, they've
exactly.
gone through hospitals and they've prayed for certain people, and those people get better versus
Yeah.
people that, and they don't even know who
Yeah.
was prayed for and who wasn't.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
Yeah,
And
yeah. There's a lot of mystical things out there that we don't know about exactly how it works, but we're all connected. We're all connected in our hearts and our minds and our energy and our consciousness. And so I believe that too, that kind of intention, that conscious intention, you're putting your consciousness or your energy, you're sharing it with someone else. And so,
and you can travel with it. They've
yeah.
done remote viewing experiments.
Mhm.
The military does use remote viewers, but
Yeah.
they've done experiments with remote viewing that were just like innocuous episodes where, you know, somebody was going to a park or something, and another person was remote viewing them at the park.
Mhm.
And they came back and they would talk about what the person who at the park saw, what it was they
Yeah.
saw, but it was the person who was remote viewing would tell them what they saw. And it was so accurate.
Yeah.
Insane. And
Yeah. It's
people that
really
can have
interesting.
their eyes covered, they're totally blind, but they can read.
Yeah. 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 It's really interesting when you get into it, isn't it? All of
It's
the
fascinating to me. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, and the funny thing is, like in the ancient yogic texts, the Yoga Sutras, they talk. There's a whole chapter on like sort of mystical powers, like through the practice of yoga, developing these types of sort of things we're talking about, like, you know, being able to become very, very small, like the size of an atom, or very, very large, or, you know, being able to see through other people's eyes, things like that. And so it's, I mean, these types of sort of more mystical, you know, abilities have, I think it's existed for a long time.
it's probably always existed. It's just
Yeah,
that people have become afraid of it and labeled it as something that's wrong, when
right.
in reality it, it doesn't have a right or wrongness to it. It just has an it is to it.
Yeah, and
Things
it's
that are exist.
yeah.
They're morally neutral.
Yeah, totally. And it's
It's
interesting because it's, I mean, it's not like everybody gets these sort of, you know, mystical powers, but I mean, some people in yoga, they always say if you're given these gifts, it's because of work you've done in a past life, you know. So whether you believe in reincarnation or not, it's, you know,
I
it's just
actually
what
do.
they
I
say.
know
Yeah.
like 3 of my past lives. So
Really? Wow. That's
yeah.
amazing.
One of them is really impacting this life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That can happen.
I fell off a horse.
Mhm.
Um, we were riding. It was on a cliff. I think it was in England.
Yeah.
Um, that I was a girl, and it was probably in like the 17 or 1800s.
Yeah.
That we went off a cliff and we died. The horse and I died.
Oh my
But
God.
to this day, I'm terrified of heights. I don't like roller coasters. I don't like cliffs that don't have
Yeah.
like protection on them. It makes me physically ill.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Wow.
And I'm pretty sure it was because of that
Yeah. Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. I mean, those things, they can get passed down. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. I
They've done a
mean,
lot of experiments with people, young kids who remember things
mhm.
from in the past
Yeah. Yeah. I
that
know.
they
I think
couldn't
kids have more
know.
access to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But they'll tell you stuff, and it's like you couldn't have known that unless you were there for that. And
Yeah.
then that's how
Yeah.
they kind of are coming to the conclusion that past
Yeah.
lives are a thing.
I mean, it's
You-
interesting, this idea of consciousness and consciousness carrying on in different ways, in different forms. So yeah, yeah,
and
it's
you're weaving in and out
fascinating.
of this physical space,
Yeah, yeah,
and that there are other beings around us all the time too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's scary, right?
You're never alone. You might think you're alone, but you never really are.
Yeah. I know these other realms. What to do about them?
Exactly.
That's why you got to chant the mantras like, okay, we want the good juju, not the bad juju.
Well, Harmony, how can people get in touch with you one more time?
Yeah, please head on over to my website, harmonyslater.com, and you can download my 2-minute breathing exercise, and then we'll be in touch. You can also email me, harmony@harmonyslater.com, and you can find me on Instagram at harmonyslaterofficial. So those are kind of all the main places. I'm sure there's a few others that I pop up on YouTube and such. And you can listen to my podcast, the Finding Harmony podcast, and that's on all the places. So if you're thinking, how can I find harmony? Just look up Finding Harmony podcast and you'll find me.
All right. Well, we'll be listening to the Finding Harmony podcast too.
Yeah, we have great interviews on there as well. So yeah, I'm sure people will enjoy it.
So much for joining me. It's been a great chat with you.
Thank you. It was really fun. It was really wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.